Hi everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're taking a look here, of course, at Bitcoin, helping you understand the best practice in big picture and effectively how to survive these wonderful pumps and dumps. Now, a lot of this did come from traditional markets, dollar index being up, regular markets being down. That's pretty standard, par for the course. Unless the standard market or the regular market's going to do really well, then we're going to see the secondary market, such as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, struggling until it follows suit, right? Because it's kind of like the drum in the background when you hear a marching band, right? Without that, it's not going to do as well as it should. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. So again, we'll take a look at that and much more. If you're new to the channel though, just know I'm not a financial advisor. I love to teach people to trade, and I do want to hopefully help educate you on becoming a better trader. So obviously if you want that for yourself, CryptoCash.tech is a website, link in the description below. It looks like this when you go there, and you can go ahead and register, of course, for my service. And again, what I do is I provide signals, a community, and a university to help pretty much cover you everywhere. We just took some massive profits last night from Bitcoin, 57% and 44% for Ethereum. And honestly, I slept through the short position this morning. I really wanted to short last night when it was up. I wanted to wait for confirmation. And of course, I woke up this morning and the price action was already shooting straight down. So again, that can happen when you wait for confirmation, right? There's no doubt that sometimes you can wait a little too long and it can essentially, you can miss certain boats. But who expected this to happen? I mean, look at this candle wick. This is insane. And of course, it's still working within that descending trend, right? And what's interesting too, as well, is this little increase right here hit off of not only a key level Fibonacci retracement line, but also essentially got rejected by this trend line too. Now again, it's not exact science, of course, it's not touching right there at that point, but I did mention that this descending trend, until we can break above it, we have to expect it to continue to hold as a resistance. All right, that's generally what we're looking at there. So all in all, not fantastic, but kind of standard par for the course, right? All right, so let's take a look at some stuff here so you can kind of understand what we're looking at. And big picture, of course, you need to understand this. Dollar index goes up, traditional markets go down, all right? Just kind of this inverse pairing between dollar index and traditional markets. And right now, Bitcoin, for the most part, has aligned itself with regular markets. Now, when I say for the most part, you can see the price action over the last, just say, week and a half for the regular markets, or 2 weeks rather, has been pretty red, right? Pretty consistent. We look at Bitcoin, however, yes, it's red, don't get me wrong, but it's still holding its support level here, right around the 18,000 to 19,000 range. Okay, now, of course, there's a key level support at 18,800 we're testing right now as we speak, and that would essentially tell us a lot in the coming hours what's going to happen next with Bitcoin. But for the most part, we shouldn't experience much more downside unless the traditional markets tank. Okay, and again, they're only down by 0.5%. It's not a lot, but it's absolutely worse than it should be in the sense that they opened green and came down since they opened, right? So again, little things to kind of pay attention to and understand. If you want to understand, just kind of the general direction of Bitcoin or other altcoins, there's kind of this trickle effect, right? Dollar index goes up, traditional markets go down, Bitcoin follows suit. And of course, it's exaggerated because it's a secondary market, and whales are going to take their profits here before they're going to take their profits in the regular markets. Okay, and there's a lot more profits to be taken when there's leverage, and just generally speaking, they have ridiculous amounts of money to be able to drive the price action down. So we can see the spike in volume, of course, this hard push to the downside, increased volume in general in the last 24 hours, which is healthy and well. That's why it warranted this push up. It broke right through this well, it's not listed as a descending pattern, but as I mentioned yesterday, it was a bearish type of pennant pattern. And typically these break to the downside. So I wouldn't be surprised if we continue lower at this point, but we want to give 18,800 a chance to be able to survive, right? And that's what this level is here. In other words, we want to see that work as a support level. And if we get some consolidation at that area, I think there's a good chance we'll see a bounce there. So careful buying the dip. We want to wait for confirmation, but on the same accord, it seems fairly likely or just ideal that 18,800 will sustain itself as a support level. It's worked very well as a support in the past. While the price, yes, does break above and below that level, it's still a good sign. We also can see here, let's go, actually, we'll cover the 1 hour a little later. Let's start with the daily first, okay? So when it comes to the price on the daily, okay, taking a look at this here, of course, we can see the price, again, still holding within that 50-day set moving average. It's inevitable for it to break above it eventually. But for now, we can still consider this to be bearish because it hasn't broken through that trend line. And coincidentally, the 50-day set moving average often works itself and aligns itself rather with the actual descending trend. It could also be an ascending trend as well, don't get wrong. But for right now, the common theme is the price going down. And that's exactly what the moving averages are doing here, kind of working as a resistance level. We can also see 50 on the RSI is working as a tentative resistance, of course. We haven't had a chance to retest that. In fact, yesterday we were getting close, but with all this price action so far today, it's essentially reversed all of that. Same thing here as well. We had a potential MACD on the convergence on the MACD, of course, and that never happened either. Again, that was supposed to have happened with the price action shooting up the way that it did. Supposed to give us that momentum to the upside, but essentially it's gone now. So for lack of better terms, the macro went from bullish to bearish very quickly. And again, that tends to happen when you have a 5% pump and a 5% dump. So it tends to hit the old reset button there, and we've seen it time and time before. And unfortunately, that was just kind of one of those situations where the whales want to keep the price action lower for the moment. It's just kind of the way it goes. All right, so looking at the 4 hour, let's go ahead and summarize here. On the 4 hour, we can see, of course, these nasty candles. Once again, 5% pump, followed by more like a 6 or 7% dump. Let's see here. 7.5% from top to bottom in the last 8 hours. And most of that was just a 1 hour candle. So again, that's pretty standard stuff. If you're surprised by that right now, you're probably pretty new to crypto, because even though I've been trading for a long time, I can tell you that this is just really standard normal stuff. It sucks and it's unfortunate. It should not have happened because we broke above a key level support level, and as you can see, 19,800 previous support worked very, very insufficiently. It broke straight through and it broke right down. So that level didn't even matter, honestly, at this point. And same with the Fibonacci retracement. Really not a lot you can say about that. So again, there's a lot of factors involved, right? Had the traditional markets opened, just say green and stayed green, I think we would have been able to sustain that price point. Taking a look at the MACD, we can see a significant divergence forming. It hasn't occurred yet, so try not to get ahead of yourself. But generally speaking, this does imply that we should see the price action continue lower. Again, it should hold its support at 18,800 and probably level itself out. But if it doesn't, we can expect further downside if we break below 18,800. That's kind of the area that I'm paying attention to, is 18,800. That's confirmation for me in whichever direction. If we can keep the price and the volume above that level, we should be in good shape to be able to see that bounce. And when I say bounce, I'm not talking like Terra Classic yesterday that jumped up 60, 75% in an hour. Bitcoin will possibly recover, but it should be a slow grind. Because again, these things have a tendency of getting rejected pretty quick. You can see any time in Bitcoin's recent history when it have a significant pump in one day, there's profits taken almost immediately after. So if we were to have a nice continuation here, it needs to be healthy and continue to work itself up instead of just this stupid up and down crap that we're seeing lately. Again, we don't control the markets, they do. They're doing what they want. We're just pawns in their little scheme. But I can tell you that it can be frustrating depending on which side of the spectrum you're on right there. See, we took some nice longs here recently, took those profit to the upside, and that was nice. And again, I woke up right around this level here this morning, and the price was already coming straight down. So I'm glad we missed out on all that nonsense, because our long positions were essentially closed with those trailing stop losses after we took profit. But it would have been nice to take advantage of that short. In fact, I think we had one of my members here. Let's see here. Yeah, this is one in my public community. They shorted Bitcoin this morning and got a pretty healthy percentage. Okay, so again, it can still happen, right? But you want to be cautious and careful with leverage. I never recommend using 100x, so please be more careful there, Mr. W. But generally speaking, right now with Bitcoin being where it's at, we're going to pay attention to 18,800 and see what's going on. Another thing to confirm here as well, and this is the interesting thing about the cloud, especially being previously range bound, it was giving us a signal here basically that a long position would have been okay to hold. Now that consideration is absolutely closed. Lagging spans intersected with a price action, that's an instant close for your long position, and the same thing here as well with conversion line and baseline are leveled out. So for lack of better terms, right now the cloud isn't really doing much good in helping us try to find an entry point. We want to wait for support at the support levels to essentially be able to hold and sustain themselves. I would think logically 18,800 would be a good point to go ahead and take a long position. But if you were to take a long position, just say at 18,800, maybe have a second entry right around 18,000, just to ensure that you get filled if it comes down that far. Again, just a consideration, of course, different schools of thought. And obviously, if you have any considerations yourself, comment below. Be sure to let me know if you have any thoughts on where you think Bitcoin is heading. I want to get your feedback because your information, your comment is very important. And obviously, make sure you like and subscribe too if you find benefit from this. I greatly appreciate all of that in the future. And of course, my current subscribers too. You guys have been awesome over the last couple of years, so I greatly appreciate you. So to summarize here, Bitcoin is not doing great. We want to wait for confirmation. If we take a look at TD sequential here too, just to kind of note, again, there's no guarantees in this, but you can see how the price came up to a 9 previously on the 1 hour, kind of did a little reset / dance, and now we're down to a 5. So hypothetically, we have roughly 4 more hours of continuation of the downside as potential, okay, before it might recover. And I say might, there's an emphasis on might, because right now, there's no confirmation that I see here. I am considering taking a long position at 18,800 with the second entry at 18,000, just so we can get filled if the price wicks down there. But again, that's a bit of a risk, right? If you're going to take something like that and take a trade, you use small percentages. Okay, always recommend that, especially if leverage is involved. Small percentage to the downside. Okay. All right, so that's essentially where we're at there. I guess it's not really great, but it's kind of par for the course. Standard manipulation, and unfortunately, it's kind of the way that the market is right now. And that's pretty much the way it will always be until it's fully regulated. So just be mindful. This is absolutely a normal thing. All right, well, I hope that you learned something here today, of course. If you did, comment below, let me know. And obviously, one thing, too, I forgot to mention, too, I do have an affiliation with BitGet. Highly recommend you use their exchange. If you want to benefit from the significant bonus that you can transfer over, or that you get deposited, rather, if you transfer funds and use the exchange, then absolutely use the link in the description below. This offer is available until November 30th. And again, really, the key takeaway is that you need to be able to transfer funds and trade with this exchange in order to do that. And I can tell you that I've been using this exchange for some time now. It's replaced ByBit and KuCoin, and I really just love how it works. It works fantastic. So again, super smooth, super nice, and I recommend that, of course, if you want to consider that. Once again, link in the description below. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you on the next video. You take care.